Welcome to the political segment of the weekend show. The Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi state elections have been concluded with the APC winning in both Imo and Kogi states and the PDP winning in Bayelsa state. This has brought about a lot of discussions and we won't be left out. Joining us to talk about the elections, we have Arwa Ismaila, who is the North Central Zonal Youth Leader for the PDP. Good morning and thanks for joining us.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
And we also have Nwachuku Chukwukere, public administrative expert and socialist. Good morning, and thank you for joining us. All right, so let's just get into it. You know, we like talking about elections a lot in this country. We just had the governorship elections for Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi last Saturday. What were your thoughts on the election in general?
Okay, the election was, for me, the off-cycle election was just what we expected what we expected from INEC to deliver, and they did so well. So I know that most people will say there are irregularities here and there, which is unavoidable, because there's no way they will conduct elections and then there will not be any form of irregularities. But then INEC tried so hard to curtail all those excesses. So you could see the help of the FG and other security agencies that oversee the whole general elections. So especially in Imo State, if you see what happened in Imo State, people came out to vote, and also the margin the governor won the election should tell you a lot about what the people have in mind for the governor. So I would say that if PDP really organized themselves so well, because there was why there was no much battle between the two political parties, because there was conflicts. Even in Imo State, Sam Dadi took over ticket from Ihedioha. So people were reluctant to come out to vote for Sam Dadi because of the crisis in the party. And also the thing replicated in Kogi State. Dino Melaya was not their preferred candidate because they forced Dino to them, and they vowed that they will decide to vote whoever they want to vote. The video is everywhere. So had they been there was much peace or that good atmosphere for them to, merge APC hand by hand. It could have been a tug war. But unfortunately, this didn't happen in Kogi, and this didn't happen in Imo State. But Bayelsa, there was...
Arwa, I saw your reaction when he mentioned the Kogi elections, and but we'll get into that. I just want to know your own thoughts regarding the elections.
Yeah. Again, good morning. What I had expected of INEC in the election is not what INEC did, especially in Kogi State. Just like this other speaker said, the security agencies, the federal government, in respect of deployment of agencies, security agencies, they did very, very well. There was security everywhere, and people actually came out. But what I want to disagree with him sharply is that, yes, INEC tried in some places, but in the case of Kogi, as a state, INEC performed abysmally low. INEC was the problem of the place. Why am I saying so? I'm saying this because in the entire, if you know the state very well, like Kogi State, we have 21 local governments, and there's a place we call the Kogi Central Senatorial District. That is where the governor comes from. There was no election in that place at all.
So, there were reports by the PDP governorship candidates mentioning that the elections did hold in some polling units. So is it that particular one you're talking about?
Not in polling units. How, for example, you could see that as early as 8 o'clock, results started filtering out, started coming out when elections had not taken place. Now, that presupposes that elections results were written before the commencement of polls. So in the entire Central Senatorial District.
How sure are we
Now, there are
about
facts
this?
to it. Now, when we get to the court, that will be proved.
Oh, okay.
We can, since the INEC did not review the elections, we want to assure you that by the time we get to the court, then the right thing will be done, because there are facts on ground. We have people on ground who, while on the queue for elections, results were coming out, even on their polling units. So how do you reconcile that? So by and large, there were a lot of irregularities in that area as far as election is concerned. Now, if you look at it again, in Kogi State, there are some areas as well that the outcome of elections was not a reflection of what actually happened. You can look, for example, look at the Western Senatorial District where the Senator Edino Melai comes from. How on earth will you say Edino will lose his local government to a party that has not performed, that the people of the state have crowd foul of the government over the 8 years, so percentage salaries and all that. So there's no basis for the victory, so to speak, that they claim to have they have gotten. So to us, it's not a reflection of the people's wishes.
Do you think recency bias also came to play in that, seeing as they've had the APC for that long? I said, do you think recency bias played in that, in the sense that they had APC for 8 years, so people voted for the already sitting party?
No. Incumbency is not a factor in the place to start with. Just like I mentioned earlier, if you have performed, naturally you say, okay, if a government is sitting and you have performed, you expect such government to continue. You expect people to come out in their numbers to vote for the party. But in the case of Kogi, the case is different. It's not so. The government has not done anything in the last 8 years. Abysmally, has performed abysmally in all phases of life. So you don't expect people to come out in their numbers to vote them as claimed, because to me, it's still a claim. And that is not, it does not reflect at all the wishes of the people. But the one that was too glaring and open is that of the Kogi Central District, where they have 5 local governments. Ogori-Magongo was a clear case of it. You have Okehi local government. You have Yakuta local government. You have Adavi local government, Okene local government, where it comes from. So it does not add up at all.
Could you agree with that statement? Do you think there were lapses here and there in regards to INEC in Kogi State?
Well, there may be lapses, but then I must say election is won by the most prepared, not most preferred.
But in a situation like he said that some local governments didn't even, get to...
Was he there? He wasn't there. So these things, you need to be on ground to say what you have seen, because who alleges has to prove. INEC officials were there. And again, you should understand that election is not emotional. Love does not win elections. So what you should be considering, or what you should be looking at, how prepared or how ready was this person before the election? Mobilization is part of the elections. And then APC took advantage of what the chaos in PDP, and they had to negotiate. That's equally part of being ready. So you don't need to say this person did not perform or this person did not perform. Even the common electorates, they don't even know whether you are performing or not performing because of the situation that is on ground in Nigeria. We have weaponized poverty, and electorates, what they know is who is ready to tell them what they want to hear. And Yaya Bello was telling them what they wanted to hear and was showing it. So his election is for the best prepared and not for the best preferred. That was what happened in Kogi State, actually, if you ask me.
Would you like to respond to
that? Again, I want to take my friend up. He said he was asking whether I was there. For your information, I am the North Central Zonal Youth Leader of People's Democratic Party and a frontline chairmanship aspirant to head the party in the state in a matter of months. I was everywhere in the state. I have my network everywhere in the state. And for your information, you know we have agents as parties. And we have our people everywhere. So we have our ears to the ground. So the issue of saying, were you there, does not even arise in the first place.
Okay.
And secondly, you talked...
was your party was your party united?
What are you? Are you not in a position to tell me about the party? After the primaries, we went into the reconciliation. You know, after everything, that is why in every elections or primaries or Congress, they usually set up what we call reconciliatory committee, which was in place, and people were approached. Those that were aggrieved in a way were approached, and they all came into the party at the end of the day. So we went into elections as a united house, never as a divided house. I was everywhere with the governorship candidate in the course of campaigns, crisscrossing the length and breadth of the state. So I want to tell you that you are not in a position to really say what you said. But be that as it may, I want to go further to say that largely, INEC in some places tried. That is, in terms of Bayelsa, you see what happened.
They really tried.
They tried in there. That's what I'm trying to. But I am telling you, because the first question you asked was we're trying to assess what really happened. You know, I gave kudos to the security agencies, you understand? And I give kudos to INEC to some point. When I say some point, is that because we have our ears to the ground. This is the world, in the world of IT, where we try to monitor things from wherever you are. You know, we followed the activities of Imo squarely, we followed the activities of that of Bayelsa, and we followed that of Kogi State. Now you can see what happened in Bayelsa State. You understand? You can see that it's not because it's of my party. The Duo Diri as the governor did well and won convincingly.
There was no chaos.
They win convincingly. Even it was an APC person that wanted to cause the problem. In Nembe, where ballot papers, papers for 3 wards in Nembe.
Saying that, APC in Bayelsa State actually have come out to say that INEC colluded with the PDP to win that state.
It was open. Okay, who hijacked the ballot box? Who are those that tried to take all the ballot paper boxes in Nembe, the 3 wards in Nembe? Because that is where the TB president and the governorship candidate, he wanted to maximize the opportunity that since the Nembe was his area, and he wanted to bring all those votes, and the vote, if you put it together, it will have amounted to like 80,000 votes. So if you look at the difference between Edo Diri and Timid Presiva, it's about 60-something thousand or so. So if they have allowed him to come up with these 3 wards of over 80,000 whatever, then he will have overtaken this man. So now the governor, knowing full well that election did not take place in such places, now cried out, and the right thing was done by putting aside those other areas and announcing what they have. Now, similarly, that's why I was saying something, my friend, I wanted to understand with me here. Now, as early as 8 o'clock, people of Ogorimagongo local government started crying that, we are on the queue and the papers are already flying that elections have been won. So now they insisted that there would not be election. So now they ensured that there was no election in all those areas. That is why, in the first place, if you are following the trend, you could understand that the INEC at a point said, okay, they're going to cancel that. Now, in those other 4 local governments, when petition came up, they said they're going to cancel that, only for them to come back later and accepted those results and collated them. That is to the chagrin of many persons. That we have expected that, yes, after cancellations, you will have taken place there. You know the Electoral Act. Even these votes that have been put together, if you look at it critically, it's a case of overvoting everywhere. And when you see voting, what I mean is that even in the pre-filled sheet they have, it is even overvoted. Even that's why the fact that there was no even actual voting, and with the result they brought, it's still overvoting.
Police agents.
No. You can be forged, my friend. Or by police agents, they can be forged. That's why. But when they get to the court, and all those things will be unraveled. That I can assure you, because that result will not stand, because it was a sham. It was not an election, to the best of our knowledge. So what the other parties are saying now is that they have written to INEC. Now INEC, they have now asked INEC to allow them access to the CTC of the Beavers report. and up till now, the INEC has not obliged them. So if you are sure you are clean, what we have done is right, then people have already applied. It's under the law. You are supposed to allow them have access to what they have asked for. Give them the Beavers report for them to reconcile with the so-called result you have come up with. So be that as it may, I want to believe that in the shortest possible time, everything will be unraveled, and the writing will be done by the appropriate authorities. That I should, but in conclusion, I can say that in the Kogi Central Senatorial District, there was nothing close to election in that place.
What you're going to say something?
Yeah, you know, he was very eloquent, and then, you know, people who are this eloquent, when you listen to them, you tend to be carried away with what they are saying. But I asked him a question when he was flowing. I asked him if the polling agents, whether they signed those results.
They never signed.
And he told me it could be forged.
They could be forged.
That shows that he accepted.
If the result can be forged, then what is it that cannot be forged?
No, that shows that he accepted that there was signatures on the result sheets.
I have not seen the situation. What I'm saying, that you claim to say, you say that my agent signed.
No, I said
yes.
Those result sheets, your polling agents, the signatures were there.
How can my polling agent sign a pre-filled something from government house, so to speak? How can my agent have access to government house?
Do you have the evidence that?
Why not? Why not? Okay.
You know INEC is a body.
Yes, a body, yes.
You understand?
Yes.
And this body has tried so hard
yes.
to show transparency
yes.
because of what Nigerians were saying about the past elections. And this is just 3 states.
Yes.
And all eyes were on the 3 states.
We had expected them to have improved over what has happened in the past, but to our dismay.
No,
that is the concern here.
Go on the streets.
Yes.
Take polls.
Yes.
You will see that the people on the street
yes.
will tell you INEC performed diligently well in these elections.
My friend, just like
the only thing you can tell me,
yeah.
and I will say people
yeah.
or the politicians and their talks, most of them tried so hard to hijack most of the places. And it didn't work.
In this case, let me tell you, I think this is about the most peaceful election we have had.
Thank you.
I'm coming. You are getting somewhere. I said earlier,
you said the security operatives did well.
Oh, lovely. There are places that people have not voted in the last 10 years or thereabout because of insecurity. You understand? Because of the way and manner the thugs behave during elections. But because of the security, the deployment of security, enough security agents to all those places, people were able to vote. But in the case of Kogi Central, which is a different case, in this case now, people came and the results started coming out while on the queue.
From where?
From where it should be.
Who gave the information?
I'm coming. When people cried out early in the morning that they could not see result sheets in the morning, and results were already flying. And this is what happened.
You saw the
now,
results?
Mr. Man, let me tell you something. This is not the first time it has happened in Kogi State. Now look at it in 2019 where Yaya Bello and Engineer Musa contested. Now that was when there was no election, just like this similar case. Now they put all the results together and say, okay, now a place where you could not have that number of votes in previous elections, suddenly you now have 100% voters turnout. Is it possible? It is not possible. Looking at the trend of elections in Nigeria, if we not do to deceive ourselves, let me tell you. 2, this is an off-season election. You cannot compare it to the presidential election. Presidential election was well attended. A lot of people came home for that election. It was fully prepared. Now, compare that elections to what we saw on 11/11. It's not something to write home about. Because you look at the number of people that came out, expectedly, the number of votes ought to have been lower even than what we had in the presidential. Okay, look, for example, Senator Natasha, for example, won an election, put the vote of Natasha as Senator Natasha now, and the guy that lost to her, put the votes together in the entire Central and compare the votes now to what you have in this election. Now, you look at the election, it was not even up to 40% turnout. But in this case now, we are talking about 95%. Even both the dead and living are being captured in this. I want to tell you that, yes, just like I've said, I am a law-abiding Nigerian. Now that the INEC hurriedly, announce this result. When in the first place, the double standardness is INEC is what is baffling me. In the first place, you say we are going to look at the 5 local governments where complaints were coming from. That is Ogonimagongo in the central, all in central. Now, at a point again, as usual, the governor traveled to Abuja, came back, all of a sudden, they will now say, accept those results, the supposed results, so-called results, and collect it the way and manner it was brought. That is what was put together and now announced. But what we had expected INEC was to okay, now this result, since there's complaint on this thing, you stand down elections in such places, that's the 5 local governments, you could now declare it inconclusive as the case may be, go for elections in those places, add it up to whatever figures you have on ground, then you now determine who satisfied the requirement of the law and announce the person as duly elected. Are you getting my point? That is number one. Number two, who is deceiving who? INEC came back and said, okay, now accept the results. Now, they now accepted, not in full, in part, that in some other units, they discovered, or according to them, they now said they're going to be rerun in 58 or 59 polling units spread across those local governments. Now, you hurriedly went and issued somebody a certificate of return. Of what use will the so-called rerun will serve?
You people have your petition
Excuse me. Today was the date. Is the date fixed for that? Is today not 18?
Yes.
Today is 18. Especially people should be going to field. And so even when people are not satisfied with the 59 units, they even ask people to go. And people ask for total cancellation in the 5 local government of the central. So it is until that is done that you can put it together and announce who is the winner of the election. That is what all parties are protesting. The PDP, the SDP, and all other parties are saying the election did not reflect the will of the people. For example, look at this case. Now you keep apportioning, you keep giving yourself figures and moving on. Okay, now I've mentioned in the case of Dino earlier that where Senator Dino MLA losing to an APC in Ijumu local government area. Now, excuse me, I'm coming. He voted. He came late. He voted. If you don't know, he came late. There was speculation that he's not even voting. He came later and voted, but he did not come early enough as expected because it's not a rule that you must come early in the morning and vote if you are contesting an election. So they expected him to have come earlier, but to vote did not come, and they started talking all manner of things.
You said the PDP is going to court for this Kogi State election. What do you think is going to be different? Because we can remember with the presidential election, they were in court for the longest time, and at the end of the day, the results were still the same.
Yeah, thank you very much. I still believe in the judiciary.
Okay.
Despite one or two things that have happened. Despite the fact that some of their rulings fell short of the people's expectation. But that is not to say that we should lose confidence totally in the established body like the judiciary. Now, let me take myself to Nasarawa State, for example. Nasarawa case is just like a case in a smaller portion of what has happened in Kogi State. Now you could see that in 2023, when Ombugadu, Right Honorable David Ombugadu, was coasting home to victory, and the governor of the state, as the current governor of the state, Engineer Sule, Abdullahi Sule, felt that he could not withstand this shame that was coming. Now they muzzled every other person to see how they could change the result of 3 wards, Gayam ward, Chiroma, and one other ward in Lafia local government. Now somebody was leading with about 40,000 or thereabout. All of a sudden you came in and say, do it and let's go to court in their usual impunity. Now they came and put everything together. The number got up, the figure got up, and things like that. They put it together. But when they came to the tribunal, what happened? The tribunal, having reconciled the pink copies, the results of agents from all those places, they now say, gentlemen, from what we have seen, this is the number of accredited voters. There's no point you can have above the accredited voters. And for the fact that we have results from the agents here and there, then they were able to cut down those figures to the actual figures on the field. And Anam Bugado was declared winner of this. That is having confidence in the judiciary.
I'm glad
now, I have confidence in the judiciary. When they have done well, you commend them. When they have done when they have done wrongly, tell them that they have done wrongly so that they can improve on it. Now, as I speak to you, yesterday they have reserved judgment for the appeal court for that ruling, which by the grace of God, very soon.
Okay, could you speak just before we round up?
Winner.
Yeah, like what he has been saying. You see, he said you can't tell court or how to operate. They are not emotional as well. And court is quite...
what is emotional here?
That's what I'm saying.
We're being factual here. We're being
exactly.
factual. That is what you understand.
You don't feel because this is PDP and this...
It's not about PDP.
You understand? So what I'm saying is, in the court, they can only treat what you present before them.
Okay.
And there are technicalities to that. You understand? So they can't start reminding you, what about this one? I thought I heard something about this. I thought I heard... They only work with what is before them. So most lawyers, what they do is just to tell you, I'm going to win this case for you, and then take you on a long ride and smile to the bank because they know there's nothing they can do. You understand? So what I'm saying in essence is this. It's good that people have petitioned INEC, and INEC as a body will come to court and you see what will happen. For me and every other person which I have interrogated with, told me this election was one of the best elections.
My friend, you don't know what to... I'm sorry to say, you don't know exactly what I'm saying. I had, just like I told you earlier, I have I have my ears to the ground in the three elections.
So we just have to look forward to what the court says at the end of the day.
What the court says.
Yes.
But largely, there are some places INEC tried. But with respect to the Kogi
largely
Central,
INEC tried.
With respect, when you have three states and you are talking about
see what happened in Imo State.
What happened?
It's the best prepared.
People came out. Now, what I talk about here is that is Kogi always in the news for bad thing? That is the concern. Kogi is always in the news for bad thing. Now, there's what word you use. You say the most prepared and not the most preferred. That is wrong. When you say prepared, you say prepared, right?
Yeah, the most prepared.
Now, prepared in terms of ready to part with what you have, trying to do. No, excuse me. No. That is your understanding of. If you talk about.
You should have allowed me. I said you should have allowed me.
Okay. All right. So we've run out of time, and it was a very heated yet insightful discussion that we had concerning the elections. We'll keep looking at the news to hear more updates with this petition from Kogi State. Thank you so much for joining us, both of you. We hope to have you back soon for more insightful discussions in the future.
I wish 2 hours to finish this, my friend.
We'll provide 1 hour for you.
Sympathy here.
It's not sympathy. We'll provide 1 hour for both of you.
It's not sympathy. Actually, did I say it about Imo State? I'm asking. I have my ears on the ground.
So we have to end the show now.
He's from Kogi State, right?
Come again?
You're from Kogi State.
I'm from Kogi State. I'm in Nigeria.
Exactly, and that's why you're talking about Kogi, not Imo.
No.
Okay, so we've come to an end of the show.
Exactly.
So we have to end now. Thank you very much for coming.
All
right, thank you so much for joining us on the weekend show today. We'll come back next week, Saturday, same time. So stay tuned on AIT. Don't forget, you could also catch up on all our episodes on YouTube at Weekend Show NG. Follow us on Instagram and X at Weekend Show NG. You could follow me on Instagram and X at Didi_. Have a lovely weekend.